bater no Islam e vou desafiar o Khabib para voltar da aposentadoria.
What we're actually going to be talking about throughout this video is why I am nearly certain that Khabib will take that fight. And it simultaneously is why when you watch the Islam Makhachev fight against Charles Oliveira, you should have shaking hands for the week leading up to it. Because you should be that fired up as an MMA fan for that fight. So I just saw something on Instagram that might be the foreshadowing of potentially the biggest fight in UFC history. Because I just saw Charles Oliveira say, you want to see me fight Islam? I'll fight Islam. Forget about Conor. I'm coming after Khabib. Okay? He said all of those things in an interview I'm going to show you very shortly. I'm not going to make you wait 10 minutes. I promise. I don't do that on purpose. I really don't. Like, I just start talking in circles because that's how my brain works, is tangent, 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 connect all the tangents. I don't mean to make you guys wait, but just take my word for it, okay, between now and how I introduce it. Charles Oliveira, in an interview, said, forget about Conor McGregor. I'm coming after Khabib. I'm going to smash Islam Makhachev, and then I'm going to smash Khabib, okay? I'll show it to you in a second. And the reason why we need to kind of talk this through, because maybe that seems obvious. Like maybe that's like, well, of course he's going to do that. Okay, well, what I'm saying is Khabib's going to take that fight, okay? Like what I'm saying, I'm predicting for you right now that in the event that Charles beats Islam Makhachev and then calls out Khabib, Khabib's taking that fight. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm telling you that the reason why Khabib's not even entertaining it now is because he believes that Islam's going to win, and he is a good friend and coach who does not want to take the shine off of Islam. I'm going to get into all that, okay? I promise. Now, real quick, why don't you guys go ahead and watch this interview with me so we can be on the same page. Ready? Boom.
Come to Brazil, fight with Brazilian champion and finish him with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style.
Olha, na realidade, se eles querem tanto isso, né, eles têm que correr atrás do campeão. Eu corri atrás do campeão, né? Então eu se tornei campeão. Eu quero lutar você quer tanto isso? Vocês querem tanto isso? Então vamos fazer legal. Agora eu vou falar a você, vamos lutar em janeiro no Brasil? É isso que vocês querem demais? Vem demais. Só que olha só, Khabib, você já deu 3 premonições, né? Sobre mim, as 3 você errou. Vou vencer ele. Escuta só, eu vou vencer Islam Makhachev. O problema da divisão se chama Charles Oliveira. Esse é o problema da divisão. Olha só, esquece Conor McGregor agora, esquece. Charles Oliveira e Islam Makhachev. Eu vou vencer ele. Aí quem sabe você volta da aposentadoria também vem. E eu vou bater no Islam Makhachev e vou desafiar o Khabib para voltar da aposentadoria.
Because the main point that is the critical takeaway from that interview is he said, I'm going to call out Khabib. Okay, I did not know he was going to do that. I had never heard him say it. I'd never heard him say it like that, which means he's going to if he wins. And here, again, what we're actually going to be talking about throughout this video is why I am nearly certain that Khabib will take that fight. And it simultaneously is why when you watch the Islam Makhachev fight against Charles Oliveira, you should have shaking hands for the week leading up to it. Because you should be that fired up as an MMA fan for that fight. Okay. Now, before I jump into the thing all the way, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And jump in the comments. That's the main reason. If you're a hardcore MMA fan, I want to know what you think. And I want to know what you think about this. Okay. And also, if you don't mind, please like the video. If you're a longtime viewer, you guys are my family, dude. So all I'm asking on this video, just like it. Throw a like on it and then maybe share it with your buddies. Because it really does help. Like, it genuinely really does help. But when you comment, don't just throw a, for the algorithm. Like, I really want to know what you guys think. I mean, you could throw a for the algorithm. I appreciate those. But I really want to know what you guys think. I just got done reading the comments on the Gilbert Burns fake injury one. And it's like exactly what I'm trying to do with this channel. Like, literally, I went in the comments and I was responding to people. I'm like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do with the channel. All excellent takes on a topic that I really genuinely want everyone's opinion on. Where I'm like, I don't know, man. And people brought up a bunch of good points, man. Like how he rolled over onto his knees and all this stuff. They're like, dude, he has a knee injury. He rolled over on his knees and doubled over. Have you ever seen a person with a knee injury roll over on their knees? I'm like, that's a really good point, dude. And a lot of people said it. And then, I don't know. And there was a bunch of people, somebody who trains with Herbert commented. People talked about weight cuts, stuff I hadn't even considered. So again, I appreciate that from you guys, and keep it up. So anyway, so here's the deal, okay? UFC 280, you got Islam Makhachev against Charles Oliveira. Now, obviously, in the interview, he called for that fight to be in Brazil. He didn't get his way. That's fine. It is what it is. The fight's still going to happen. Charles Oliveira's tough enough to fight in enemy territory. I mean, he just did that. He just fought in Phoenix. Phoenix, I was there. That's Gaethje territory. That is Gaethje territory. And I don't think you're going to have like a harder, maybe you have like a more passionate, I don't really know. But in Abu Dhabi, I don't think you're going to have like a more hardcore fan base for Islam than Justin Gaethje had in Phoenix. He's from there and everyone knew it, right? So I don't think that's going to affect anything one way or the other. But nonetheless, okay, Charles was angling for the Conor fight. He made that very, very clear. He was angling for the Conor fight. And now he just took the Islam fight. And he said, forget about Conor McGregor. And he said, I'm going to call Khabib out of retirement. Now, do we even need to go over what it would mean if Charles Oliveira beats Islam Makhachev and he gets to fight Khabib? Do we need to even do that? Do we need to explain to a group of hardcore fans like the people who watch this channel what it would mean if Charles Oliveira and Khabib fought right now in the dead center of both of their primes? Okay? Everything we missed when it came to Tony Ferguson versus Khabib, all the stuff we missed, we get back if it's Charles versus Khabib. At a huge multiple, at an enormous multiple. Because Tony Ferguson and Khabib both had beat everyone, but they were not both champions. And here's another thing that I will challenge you to think about. Have we ever in the history of the sport had the equivalent fight to Khabib versus Charles Oliveira if Khabib comes back and fights him? And I realize I should probably qualify this before I even get into this, because people are all, if you don't really understand the backstory, you're probably thinking like there's no way that Khabib's coming back. I understand that. As a matter of fact, I just don't want to, I know my brain, I don't want to forget to make this point. Okay, the reason why I have to make the point at the time that I think of it is because I will forget. Okay, I will forget. If I don't write it down or if I don't say it right now, I'll forget. And this is a very valid point that needs to be said. And then I promise you, we're going to go in and we're going to qualify why Khabib will take this fight if it goes, if Charles stops Islam, especially if he stops Islam and especially if it's through grappling. Khabib's coming back. I will promise you that. Or at the very least, I would bet an enormous amount of money on it. But the reason why there's never been a fight like this before, okay, the reason why there's never been a fight like Khabib versus Charles, if Khabib comes back right now, is because the best you've ever had, right, are you have like the closest thing that you had, basically the closest that you've had to this. And I'm not just talking about the lightweight division. I'm talking about just in general, where you have two champions fighting against each other. The closest you've had is John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, okay, in the second fight. That's the closest you've ever had, where you had John Jones out, and so you have a true established champion who has proven that he can beat everyone. Okay, Daniel Cormier beat everyone at light heavyweight, everyone who mattered, and then he fought John Jones. John Jones had obviously cleared out the division, and he had beat Daniel. So the second fight with those guys is the closest you're ever going to get to two real champions. And that's not even a real champion because John had already beat Daniel Cormier. That's the closest you're going to get, though. Okay, we're two guys who had both defended their titles against everybody else in the same division. Okay, you've never had that before. That's never happened. It has never happened. Not with both of them in their prime. Maybe you get someone. Maybe if I really dug deep into, MMA, history, you might find someone where a guy retired, came back, whatever. But not like this. Not where they're both in their prime. Not when when they were. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I need to. No one has given up their belt and retired and done it young enough to where when they came back a couple years later, they were still in the dead center of their prime. And there was another established champion who had cleared out the division. It's never happened. It's never happened. It's never happened. I don't need to think about it. It's never happened. It has never happened. Okay? You have Khabib, who cleared out the division. Cleared it out. Beat everyone. Okay? Except Charles. Beat everyone except Charles. And at the time, Charles was not there. He'd won 8 in a row or whatever, but he had not, he looked like Islam Makhachev looks right now. Right? Had not really been tested. Khabib hangs him up. Then Charles comes in and he runs through the division. He beats Gaethje. He beats Dustin. He beats Michael Chandler. Top 3 guys in the division. He beat Tony Ferguson. Okay? He beat all the guys. Just like Khabib beat all the guys. Charles is in the identical position right now that Khabib was in when he retired. Identical position. Because you have Islam still here, just like Charles was still there for Khabib. Okay? And so in the event that Charles does win and he calls out Khabib and Khabib comes back, this will be for actual real fans of the sport, this is the super fight of this. Just ever. You got Holloway versus Volkanovski over there at featherweight, which was the GOAT fight, but and that was pretty close because they had fought 2 times before to a stalemate. This third one, it was like, all right, they had both beat everyone else, but they had fought to a stalemate, but technically Volkanovski had won both fights. So I don't even think I need to talk about this anymore. It's never happened. So why are we talking about it if it's not real? Okay? Well, here it is, okay? Islam Makhachev and Khabib come from Dagestan. Everyone knows this, okay? Khabib and Islam grew up together. They're brothers for all intents and purposes. Like actual, live together blood brothers. They train, all they did their whole lives is train. Whether or not they lived in the same, I don't even know if they lived in the same house, but whether or not they lived in the same house is irrelevant, dude. Because what did those guys spend their days doing every day? Training. Under who? Khabib's dad. Where? At the same gym. Together. They lived their entire life together. What kind of things were these guys getting into outside of the gym? Eating and sleeping. Okay, so their whole life they've been together. They've been together their entire life. So, so they're really close. They're best friends. Okay, well, we've seen on the American side that Colby and Masvidal, things can go wrong in that situation. Right? Right, guys? So things can go wrong when guys are best friends. Okay, well, they didn't grow up together, number one. They're not from that part of the world. Bonds get real solid in war-torn places, and especially when you grew up in battle, in a foxhole together, training together, and having each other's back together. If all you have to do is watch one clip of Khabib on Islam, in the corner for Islam. Just watch one clip. Watch a single clip. Or watch one fight or whatever, and just get the corner video and just watch Khabib react when Islam fights. His eyes are this big. So I watched, and just as a side, I watched the Klitschko brothers kind of ancillarily through their careers, and I was always like, whatever, I didn't know what to make of them, whatever. I watched the documentary Klitschko, and my entire opinion of them changed. And one of the main reasons, was because I was translating everything they said. And I realized they're super cool, but also the way that they rooted for each other, when they were in the corner, this look on their face is different than just your buddy. It's different than your training partner, where when it's someone you really care about that's in there, and seeing your when their eyes get this big. There's one where Vladimir just got worked in this fight, and his brother is over there, and his eyes are this big. It's a different kind of look. If you really know, if you can look at a person, really see what they're feeling. That's how Khabib is with Islam. More than any other guy. It's his brother, man. Okay, so you got that, right? Now, Khabib retired because there was no one else there. His dad wasn't there, and he's saying that he's done, okay? He's still the same person. Nothing has changed about his person, about his base core personality. When you're in your 30s, dude, you're the person you're going to be. Now, you can improve on yourself, of course. But your base level principles, if you're a principled person, those are established by your mid-30s for 100% sure. And if one of your principles is you don't ever let a person stick his finger in your chest, that's a part of your personality. That's a core part of your personality. And that's just, if they stick a finger in your chest. Khabib's in a position now, because he cleared out the division, it doesn't matter if anyone says anything about him. They're, that guy's scared. He's like, all right, The proof is in the cage. I'm scared. I smashed everyone in your division. Every single comer, I smashed them all, and then I hung it up because none of you were good enough to hang. I'm scared. He doesn't need to respond to that. He doesn't need to respond to another person just being, Khabib's scared. He doesn't need to respond to that. Not per his principles. He does not need to. He's already responded with previous actions, and the proof is there. Okay? But if Khabib watches Islam lose and watches him get stomped, watch him get, or not, I'm sorry, not stomped, stopped. And then you factor in the overarching thing with his dad, okay, which matters in this case in a major way, in my opinion. I'm obviously, now I get in this weird dicey territory where I'm speaking for a person about their feelings about their, their father who passed away. So I try to do it delicately, but if I understand him at all, I am going to assume that his father's wishes loom very, very large for him in his day-to-day, right? his father passed away, and his father's one of the most important people, or probably the most important person in his life. And he knows that his father had a very specific vision that equated to lifelong career success for himself, right? Like Abdulmanap had a specific vision that was representative of specific, like career success for all the things that he'd done, like all the effort that Abdulmanap had put into, building this program, his coaching, his academy, right? And it was the vision for him was for Khabib to retire undefeated, and then Islam Makhachev slide right behind him and become the champion. Okay, so that's Khabib's father's vision. His father, that he was that close with, who died unexpectedly, and Khabib slid immediately into his role. He fought one more fight to prove that he could do it on his own, and in hindsight, I mean, maybe part of it was about him proving he could do it on his own so that he could hold that weight as the coach, right? And he's doing it for his dad. I mean, I'm not even going to speculate about that. But the bottom line is he takes one more fight, one of the most heroic and ballsy performances ever, and then he slides right into his father's position. And his father's goal is crystal clear to him. He knows exactly what it is. He wanted me to retire undefeated, which I did. And the next thing that's the last piece of his vision is Islam Makhachev becomes champion behind me. And now Islam Makhachev is fighting for the title against Charles Oliveira at UFC 280. And what I'm telling you is if you take all of those pieces and you put them together, you take all that together, okay? Islam and Khabib growing up together, Khabib's father's vision, the fact that Khabib and his father were that close, the fact that Khabib slid right into his father's position once, he passed away, and the fact that if Islam wins, his father's full vision is realized, and you take that as the backdrop for this fight against Charles in Abu Dhabi. If Charles stops Islam and then he calls out Khabib in front of the crowd in Abu Dhabi, if you think Khabib's not taking that fight, I will fucking bet you're wrong. It's one of those things where if it didn't hinge on another person's decision, I would make a much more outlandish claim about how confident I was in that. But I would bet an outlandish amount of money that if Charles stops Islam and he calls out Khabib's taking that fucking fight. An outlandish amount of money, in reference to the amount of money that I have. And if that happens, we're going to get an undefeated champion against an undisputed champion who has beat every other person since this guy left. And they're both in the dead fucking prime of their careers. And the champion will have just vanquished the guy who retires, protege who had very similar games. Not identical, though. Not identical. And I can't, given what I understand about the relationship here with Khabib and Islam, his father and all that stuff, it's impossible for me to root against Islam in this fight. It's not like but in my heart, it's going to be hard for me not to. Just as an MMA fan, it's going to be hard for me not to. Selfishly. Now, how important is it to me that I get to see Khabib versus Charles in the octagon? Probably 1/1,000,000th as important it is to Khabib and Islam that Islam wins. So that's why I can't really root for that. But again, I can't help self-interest, man. And as a UFC fan that has dedicated what now basically is the hours a week of a full-time job to just talking about this, making a fraction of what I make in my real job because I love it so much. How on earth am I not going to root for that fight to happen? How could I possibly do it? Anyway, so that's what I've got. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're still hanging around. for more takes like this.